So, are we turning vegan by stealth? Let's speak with Dale Vince, founder of Ecotricity, and a lifelong vegan, I'm bound to say, Dale. How long has it been now?
Oh, blimey, I don't know. Must be like 4 decades or something like that.
Wow, wow. Do you remember the last time you ate meat? Is there a point in time you can remember discarding the bacon sandwich or whatever?
It would have been before I left home, actually. Yeah. So wow. I would have been like under 18, something like that.
Gotcha. Obviously, the vegan, vegetarian and latterly vegan diets, if you go to restaurants or whatever, we've discussed this many times. It's in a whole different place from it was even a decade ago. The choices are plentiful, the ranges are increasing. And of course, lots of people, you know, even sort of Bob the meat eater would say, you know, I tried a vegan pie there. It was really quite nice. Are you happy with anything that's vegan, Dale? Or is there still a certain uncomfortable nature about stuff that's trying to emulate an animal?
Yeah, it's a good question. I do have issues with that. Some of the recent burgers, I think, moving mountains, Beyond Meat, that kind of stuff. I think one of them's like pink in the middle to emulate blood. They both have very high levels of saturated fat to emulate beef. And I think, well, actually, they're unhealthy. It's not so much a queasiness because they taste like the real thing, because I can't remember what the real thing tastes like. It's high levels of salt and fat are just really bad for us. Yeah. And there's no need for that in vegan food.
What is the answer then? What should we be doing as a nation? What do you know? You've supported and backed Keir Starmer. This is the government you wanted to see. You're quite confident that it's going to be greener. But of course, as you've always said, that the greening argument isn't just about some windmills and different kinds of cars. It's a whole range of things, and absolutely pivotal to that is the food chain.
Yes, I mean, there's an awful lot of things we can do. What I believe in is, or what you're alluding to there, is like the environment is not an issue of ice caps and polar bears, actually, first and foremost. It's about the economy. It's about jobs. It's about business, about GDP growth and stuff like that. And I mean, I'm used to having kind of discussions about energy on that front, getting to energy independence, how we can save ourselves billions of pounds every year, leaving our economy and all that kind of stuff. If we're going to talk about food, it's really interesting. We spend about 15 billion pounds a year bringing protein into our country, to feed ourselves with. We've started a new thing, the meat lab, the fake meat lab, which I think is a funny name for it, by the way, whether it was a fake lab or it's fake meat, but it's news to me. We've started something similar. We're taking protein, human edible protein, from grass. Now, grass grows in abundance in our country, and we've been growing it to make gas. That's a new frontier for how we heat our homes without fossil gas and create a brand new industry. And we've found that we can get out twice as much protein from grass as a cow can in our process. And actually then we can make gas with the residue grass as well. So we get to make food and energy from the same piece of land. It's a massive opportunity. We grow enough grass in our country every year, which we feed to cows, to make twice the protein that the whole nation eats every year. We can add that. It'd be like soya protein or wheat protein. It's a powder granule form that you just add to burgers, sausages.
So I haven't got to have, right, when you first said it, Dale, I haven't got to eat a grass burger, right? Or a grass pie.
Yes, well, yes and no. I mean, we'd call them grass burgers for fun, but it would be like a burger today, just that the protein. At the moment, we make burgers, for example, up at our football club and for schools up and down the country, and they contain pea protein. And to get that, you extract the protein from peas in the form of a powder or a granule, and you add it to things like burgers. We'll do that with grass.
Do you think any government, particularly the one that you've endorsed, is likely to move as fast as you want them to, though, Dale? Because there is a sense that governments just have to kind of keep nodding in all directions. And, you might consider this one to be better than the last one. And let's be honest, me and you could have done it better than the last one. But nonetheless, can they really achieve what people like yourself, Dale, lifelong campaigners, want them to achieve?
Well, first I say nothing moves as fast as I want it to, so the chances of this government doing it are pretty slim.
True.
Secondly, you make them sound like Jesus. They've got to be all things to all people, and I think that's probably, there's some fairness in that. That's what governments try to do. But this sounds like an exciting initiative, except for the idea of looking for different forms of protein, looking at plants and tubers and fungi and that kind of stuff. We ain't got to look for it, right? It already exists, and we've been eating it for like forever. I think at the heart of this new project, though, is probably trying to make things like steak, or things that look like steak, which is the real fake meat. You know, not a burger made with pea protein. That's not fake meat. But the real fake meat is what actually tries to come across as meat.
Yeah, and
I don't think we need it, by the way. I don't think we need it.
But isn't there an inevitability in terms of just the commercial side of it? I can imagine your dream coming to fruition, Dale, of a vegan world, or more or less a vegan world. But I don't know whether it will come because of the same persuasive as they might be ethical arguments. I wonder whether it will come actually because of economic ones, where companies will just go, do you know what? We've been knocking out these flipping chicken fillet nugget things for kids, covered in batter, for 30 years. They're quite expensive because Harry's got a little lab round the corner and he's doing them for half the price. That's ultimately going to be the driving force of the food industry, isn't it?
Well, it's an interesting thing to think about, Ian, because in energy, it's exactly like that. It's stopped being about the climate. The transition to green energy is about economics. It's simply much cheaper to make renewable energy, and that's a great place to be. In food, there are a kind of raft of different reasons. It is a major driver of the climate crisis, industrial animal agriculture, and the human health crisis, and the decline of wildlife. And we can solve all of those problems if we just stop industrial animal farming and eat plants instead. But it's also cheaper because you have to put in, for example, a cow is the worst example. You put in 10 times more protein into a cow than you get back out. And what we put in is human edible plant protein into a cow. They don't make protein, they eat it. We feed it to them. They're very inefficient. We cut out that middleman. It's much cheaper to feed ourselves. That's why if the whole country was plant-based, we could give 75% of all of our farmland back to nature and rewild our country.
Wow. And then reintroduce the wolf, right? That's my pivotal moment. I want that. Did that happen in Scotland or something? Any info on that, Dale?
I'm not sure if it's happened in Scotland. It's happened in Europe. Yeah. It's quite an issue in Europe. I was reading about beavers today. There's a lot of them being released in Britain, and they're doing a wonderful job of flood management, actually.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good to see. I think there might be a bit... people, I think, are a bit scared of the wolf, wouldn't they, really? Because, I mean,
I think that's fair.
You know, you upset one of those things, it'll take your face off, of course. It's not a good place to be when you're out hiking for the afternoon.
And they probably don't differentiate between vegans and meat eaters.
No, they don't really care. Your wolf doesn't give a toss, does it, really, what or who you are? So, listen, Dale, always insightful stuff. Thank you, Dale Vince. He's the founder of Ecotricity. There it is. I mean, like notionally, the idea of it's the lab-based meat thing. Are you okay with it? I can't help but think that there is going to be no way around this, that companies will, food manufacturers, we know that, you know, some of those pharmaceutical big boys own, they have copyrights on certain seeds, you know, that are responsible for 85% of the world's cereal and stuff like that. And a medical company own the seed. That's got like a whole Big Brother thing written right through it, OK? Now, then you factor in, well, you know, why are we messing around with all this chicken and cows and stuff? I know Mackie D's do quite well out of it, but, you know, the rest of us, you don't need all of that. It can all be produced, all be provided for you. It will, like, your daily dose of, and nobody gets hurt. Dale's point, which, although he acknowledges the economic arguments over it, his are more ethical because he thinks it's a kinder way to be. And if you could achieve all of that, the upshot is we get more wolves, right? That's the potential. That you give more back, you have a greater countryside, the place is greener, it smells good, it is good, everything you eat is ticked every single box, life's fantastic, and you have wolves. Did they bring wolves back to a very specific part of... They couldn't do that, would they? Couldn't do it now. I don't know why we don't hear of more, even bear attacks in North America and the like. I mean, they happen from time to time. They tend not to stray into certain areas, I guess. So I'd support, you know, a greater, our wildlife. It's interesting when you watch one of the Chris Packham shows, but then you watch one of those shows Down Under and you go, now that's wildlife, mate. There's like, we haven't even got any of that stuff. We haven't even got a frilled lizard, right? They got them all over the place down there. Frilled lizards, duck-billed platypuses, everything. Those mad dogs, the dingoes, you know, all of that. Emus, roos, it's everything down there. Funnel web spiders. What have we got? A ladybird and a sheep. It's not quite the same thing. So bring on the wolves is my campaign.